There comes a moment in every life when the individual must decide whether he shall be ruled by the winds of circumstance or take the helm of his own destiny. That moment, though unseen, comes to all. For some, it passes like a shadow across the mind, scarcely noticed before it is gone. For others, for the few, it strikes with the force of a thunderclap and awakens them to a truth so sharp and undeniable that it cuts through every lie they have told themselves. Your life, as it now stands, is the exact result of the thoughts you have allowed to rule your mind. If you understand that, you understand the first secret of a wealth mindset. If you reject it, you condemn yourself to live as the puppet of emotion, the victim of circumstance, the servant of other men's will. Let us be clear. Wealth, as I speak of it, is not merely the accumulation of money. Money is only a fraction of wealth. True wealth is power over self, mastery over thought, the ability to command your own mind and thereby command your environment. It is the discipline to remain unmoved by insult or flattery, unaffected by panic or euphoria, undistracted by the noise of the crowd. For the crowd lives in reaction, the master lives in command. Every empire, whether of stone, commerce, or ideas, is built first in the unseen architecture of the mind. The plans you draw there will one day rise into visible reality, or else they will crumble into invisible dust, depending entirely upon the clarity of your thought and the firmness of your will. And herein lies the first prison from which the wealth-minded man must escape, the prison of emotional slavery. Mark this well. The vast majority of men fail not because they lack opportunity, not because they lack intelligence, but because they have never learned to separate their decisions from their emotions. They become angry and destroy the deal. They become afraid and fail to act. They become proud and overreach. They become discouraged and abandon the field just as victory was within their grasp. The man who would master his destiny must first master himself, and to master oneself, one must master emotional detachment. Detachment does not mean coldness. It does not mean apathy. It means holding the reins of your mind so firmly that no feeling, however intense, can pull you off the course you have chosen. It means being able to look at a situation, whether loss or gain, and say, "This too shall pass, but my purpose remains." Purpose, that is the anchor in every storm. A definite purpose, chosen with precision and pursued with relentless discipline, is the fortress in which the wealth-minded man takes shelter from the chaos of life. Without it, every wind shakes him. With it, no hurricane can move him. And yet, purpose alone is not enough. You may know where you wish to go, but if your mind is undisciplined, it will be like a ship without a keel, tossed here and there by each passing wave of feeling, incapable of cutting a straight course to its destination. This is why the second great pillar of the wealth mindset is mental discipline. Mental discipline is the art of governing your thoughts as a wise ruler governs his kingdom, permitting no treason, tolerating no laziness, rewarding what strengthens the realm and exiling what weakens it. You are the sovereign of your mind, and if you abdicate that throne for even a moment, the chaos of undirected thought will usurp your authority. And understand, this thought is not idle. Every thought is a cause. Every effect in your life is born of some thought, whether conscious or unconscious. If you allow your thoughts to be ruled by emotion, then fear, anger, vanity, or greed will become the secret monarch of your mind. They will govern without mercy, and they will lead you to ruin. But if you train yourself to rule thought with reason, to act only after deliberation, to respond rather than react, then you will hold the keys to power, peace, and effectiveness in every undertaking. I have observed that the average man is forever at the mercy of his environment. He hears a rumor, and his mind races with anxiety. He receives a compliment, and his vanity swells. He suffers a small loss, and he abandons his plan in despair. This is the mind of a reed, bending with every breeze. The wealth-minded man is an oak-rooted, unmoved calm in both tempest and sunshine. You may ask, how does one acquire this calmness, this mastery over emotion? The answer is both simple and demanding, by training the mind daily in the habit of calm thought. Just as the blacksmith tempers steel in the fire until it can withstand any blow, so must you temper your mind in the fires of discipline until no event, however sudden, can shatter its composure. Begin each day by reminding yourself of your purpose. Engage in autosuggestion, the deliberate repetition of the truths you choose to govern your life. Tell your mind what it shall think until it obeys without resistance. Do not wait for peace to come from without. Generate it from within. This is the law of mental neutrality. When you refuse to let external events dictate your inner state, you rob the world of its power to shake you. Consider the businessman who, upon hearing that the market has fallen, does not rush to sell in panic, but calmly reviews his strategy, weighs the facts, and acts only when reason, not fear, commands. Such a man cannot be manipulated, for he is not controlled by the same forces that control the herd. This is why emotional detachment is power, because the world can only control those who can be provoked. If you can be made to feel in a certain way, you can be made to act in a certain way. Break this chain, and you become your own master. You must train yourself to say, "This event has occurred, but I choose my response." For between every stimulus and every action, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom. The man of discipline enlarges that space until it becomes a vast field of choice. And from that field, he selects the action that serves his purpose best. Never forget, the mind is both servant and master. Left untended, it will serve fear, laziness, and vanity. Disciplined and directed, it will serve ambition, purpose, and truth. You are the one who decides which master it shall obey. And so, I tell you, the wealth mindset is not a trick nor a lucky charm. It is a system of self-rule. It begins with definiteness of purpose, is guarded by mastery over emotion, is enforced by mental discipline, and is fueled by the constant application of autosuggestion and accurate thinking. When you learn to think first, feel second, and act last, you will find that your results in life are no longer accidents, but the precise outcome of your will. Calmness is not the absence of motion. It is the control of motion. It is the still hand that guides the ship in the storm. It is the eye that sees clearly while the battlefield swirls with chaos. Calmness is not passive. It is power at rest, energy held in reserve until the precise moment of release. When a man trains himself to remain calm in all circumstances, he gains an advantage so great that few can match it. For most people, their emotions are like an open gate through which the enemy may walk at any time. Anger throws the gate wide open, fear flings it off its hinges, and even joy, if uncontrolled, may lure them into folly. The calm man keeps his gate closed and his watchtower occupied. No enemy enters unannounced, and no decision is made in the heat of confusion. Do not misunderstand me. I do not counsel you to suppress emotion like a tyrant crushing dissent. Emotions are natural forces, and like all forces, they are neither good nor bad in themselves. They are dangerous only when uncontrolled. Fire can warm a home or burn it to ash. The same is true of your emotions. A man without emotion is a machine. A man ruled by emotion is a slave. The master is he who harnesses emotion as the engine, but keeps reason as the driver. Calmness is acquired in the same way wealth is acquired by deliberate, disciplined effort applied daily and without exception. You cannot expect to meet a crisis with composure if you have never practiced composure in smaller matters. Begin with the irritations of daily life. When insulted, choose silence instead of retaliation. When delayed, choose patience instead of agitation. When plans are thwarted, choose adaptation instead of despair. In so doing, you train the mind to obey you instead of your feelings. Understand this well. The mind cannot serve two masters at the same time. If emotion commands, reason is silent. If reason commands, emotion obeys. You must decide who shall hold the throne. This leads us to the principle of thought first. It is the unshakable rule that all actions of consequence must be preceded by deliberate thought. Reaction is the habit of the masses. Response is the habit of the master. Reaction is reflex. Response is reason. Reaction says, something has happened, therefore I must act. Response says, something has happened, therefore I must think. The wealth-minded man does not allow himself to be hurried into action by the ticking of the clock or the shouting of the crowd. He moves when he is ready, and when he moves, his motion is decisive. This is why he wins. While others are still caught in the push and pull of emotion, he has already charted his course and begun to execute. I have seen fortunes lost in an hour of panic that took decades to build. I have seen lives ruined because a man could not wait a day before speaking words he would later regret. And I have seen victory snatched from the jaws of defeat because a man, though pressed on every side, took the time to think before acting. The habit of thought first must be cultivated like a garden. At first, you will catch yourself after you have already reacted. That is, good awareness is the first step. Then, you will catch yourself in the very moment of reaction, and you will pause. This pause is your power. This pause is the crack in the chain of cause and effect through which you insert your will. Soon you will find yourself pausing before the reaction ever arises, and in that space you will discover that nothing can compel you without your consent. This is the science of inner command, the science by which a man or woman becomes the captain of the soul, the architect of fate, the ruler of every circumstance that life can hurl against them. For life will hurl its storms. Do not be deceived into thinking otherwise. But the master does not curse the storm, he adjusts the sails. Consider the boxer who remains calm while the crowd screams for his defeat. He hears nothing but the rhythm of his own breath. He sees nothing but the movement of his opponent. His mind is not in the past blow or the future round, it is here, now, in control. Every muscle waits for the order. No muscle moves without it. This is what it means to live with inner command. Now, let me speak to you of the chain of cause and effect in your own mind, for it is there that the true battle is fought. Every thought produces a feeling. Every feeling inclines you toward an action. Every action produces a result. If you wish to change your results, you must begin not with action, but with thought. The masses begin at the wrong end. They try to change results without changing thought, and so they are like men who try to change the reflection in the mirror without changing the object it reflects. To master the wealth mindset, you must reverse this chain. Guard your thoughts, and your feelings will serve you. Govern your feelings, and your actions will be sound. Direct your actions, and your results will align with your purpose. But here lies a truth most will never face. Guarding the mind is the hardest labor a man will ever do. It requires constant vigilance, for the enemy never sleeps. Doubt, fear, envy, resentment, these are thieves that creep into the mind in moments of weakness. You must stand watch at the gates of your own consciousness and admit no intruder that would overthrow your purpose. The tool by which you keep this watch is autosuggestion, the deliberate feeding of the mind with the ideas you wish to dominate your life. This is not idle repetition. It is the planting of seeds in the fertile soil of the subconscious, where they take root and grow into the realities of your experience. If you feed your mind with fear, fear will govern you. If you feed it with courage, courage will govern you. If you feed it with definiteness of purpose, the universe itself will seem to conspire to aid you. This is why I say, the wealth mindset is not luck, it is law. And the first law is that the inner world creates the outer. You may test this law in your own life, but you will not break it. It is as constant as gravity, and just as indifferent to whether you understand it or not. Therefore, understand it. Apply it. Make your mind the citadel from which all your actions flow. Hold fast to your purpose, rule your emotions, discipline your thoughts, and you will find that nothing outside of you can determine your fate. The law of mental immunity is as vital to the wealth mindset as the law of gravity is to the flight of an airplane. It states simply this: a mind trained to resist negative influence will remain unshaken under any assault of circumstance. Just as the body develops immunity through exposure and disciplined care, the mind develops immunity through deliberate conditioning and the constant guarding of its environment. An unguarded mind will absorb the moods, fears, and falsehoods of others as a sponge absorbs water. This is why the company you keep, the words you read, the voices you listen to, and the thoughts you allow to circulate are the architects of your destiny. The wealth-minded man chooses his influences as a general chooses his officers, not for comfort, but for competence, not for flattery, but for strength. He will not permit the chronic complainer to plant seeds of defeat in his mind. He will not grant the pessimist a permanent seat in his council. He understands that the mind, like a garden, will produce whatever is planted in it, whether weeds or wheat, poison or grain. You must learn to detect and reject mental poison at the very gates of consciousness. When a fear presents itself, do not let it take root, demand evidence. When a doubt whispers, "It cannot be done," ask it to prove its claim. You will find that most fears and doubts are shadows without substance, vanishing when confronted by the light of reason. A man with mental immunity is a man the world cannot easily defeat. He may lose a battle, but he will not lose his composure. He may be struck down, but he will rise again, because his mind is not infected with the diseases of surrender and self-pity. He sees failure not as a verdict, but as a lesson, and so he cannot be broken. But immunity alone is not enough. A fortress that only resists and never advances wins no victories. And so we come to the wealth of self-control. Self-control is the ability to make yourself do what should be done, when it should be done, whether you feel like it or not. This one principle separates the powerful from the powerless. For the man who waits until he feels ready will wait forever. I tell you plainly, feelings are a poor master. They are changeable as the weather, and the man who sails his ship by them will never reach his chosen port. The wealth-minded individual decides in advance what must be done and does it regardless of passing moods. Self-control is not repression, it is direction. It does not kill desire, it disciplines it. The athlete who rises before dawn to train does not lack the desire to stay in bed. He simply has a stronger desire to win. The entrepreneur who works through the night to perfect his plan does not lack the desire to rest. He simply has a stronger desire to succeed. Understand this, the measure of your self-control is the measure of your future. Every indulgence that robs you of time, energy, and focus is a thief of your destiny. Every act of discipline that strengthens your purpose is a deposit in the bank of your success. Wealth is not built in a single windfall, but in the compounding interest of disciplined days. And here is where the third great discipline comes into play, the discipline of unshakable focus. Focus is the ability to hold your mind on a single purpose until that purpose is achieved. It is the refusal to be distracted by the irrelevant, the trivial, the urgent but unimportant. It is the art of saying no to 99 things so you may say yes to the one that matters most. The unfocused man is rich in starts but poor in finishes. His mind flits from idea to idea, project to project, never settling long enough to bring any of them to completion. He is like a farmer who plants a seed one day, digs it up the next to check its progress, and wonders why nothing grows. The man of unshakable focus plants the seed, waters it daily, and guards it from weeds. He does not dig it up to see if it has sprouted. He trusts the process and works it until the harvest comes. This is why he appears lucky to others, because they see only the moment of harvest, not the years of unbroken attention that preceded it. To cultivate focus, you must eliminate the mental clutter that scatters your attention. Refuse to chase every opportunity that presents itself. Most are distractions in disguise. Measure every choice by a single standard. Does this bring me closer to my definite purpose? If the answer is no, discard it without hesitation. Focus is also built by controlling your environment. The mind will reflect whatever it is surrounded by. Place yourself where your attention is naturally drawn to your purpose and remove yourself from where it is scattered by trivialities. A man who tries to focus in a whirlwind will fail. A man who creates stillness around his purpose will succeed. And now, let me reveal the truth that ties all of these together. Emotional detachment, mental discipline, self-control, focus, these are not separate skills. They are the faces of a single jewel, self-mastery. Self-mastery is the highest form of wealth because it makes all other wealth inevitable. The man who masters himself can build fortunes, shape empires, command respect, and if all is taken from him, rebuild it again. The man who has not mastered himself will lose whatever he gains, for his own ungoverned impulses will be the thief. The path to self-mastery is neither short nor easy. It demands that you wage war against the weakest parts of yourself every day without cease. It demands that you confront your own excuses, strip them of their disguise, and banish them from your mind. It demands that you live by principle rather than by preference, by purpose rather than by passion, by reason rather than by reaction. But for the man or woman who dares to take this path, there awaits a prize beyond measure, the ability to look upon the world and say with absolute certainty, I am the master here. My mind is my kingdom, and nothing enters without my command. The master's code of decision is one of the most misunderstood yet decisive powers in all human achievement. A decision is not a preference, it is not a wish, it is not a passing inclination. A decision, in the mind of the master, is a command issued once, engraved into thought, and acted upon until the objective is achieved, no matter how long or how great the resistance. The vast majority of people never truly decide. They merely lean toward one choice until the wind changes, then they lean toward another. Their so-called decisions are only emotional forecasts, fair weather commitments that dissolve at the first sign of trouble. But the master of his mind knows this. Every great success rests upon a decision that has been made once and never revisited. Once the course is chosen, all that remains is execution. The possibility of retreat has been burned. The bridges behind are ashes. When Napoleon said, "I see only the objective. The obstacles must give way," he was speaking from the master's code of decision. It is the same code that Alexander carried into battle, that Edison carried into his laboratory, that Carnegie carried into his empire. And it is the code you must carry into your own endeavors if you wish to walk among those who shape the world rather than those who are shaped by it. This code demands that you remove hesitation from your mind like a surgeon removing a tumor. Hesitation drains the vitality from action, allowing doubt to slip in and weaken your resolve. A decision, once made, must be acted upon instantly before the rust of indecision corrodes the steel of your will. And yet, the master's code of decision is not recklessness. It is deliberate, accurate, and rooted in reason. The wealth-minded man gathers his facts, weighs them against his definite purpose, and chooses with finality. From that moment, his energy is no longer divided between whether and how. It is wholly devoted to execution. But what of adversity? What of those moments when the decision you made brings you face to face with forces that seem determined to crush you? This is where we enter the calm conquest of adversity. Adversity is not your enemy. It is the whetstone that sharpens your edge, the forge that tempers your steel, the proving ground that separates the pretender from the master. I tell you, without reservation, no man becomes great without enduring great trials. If you wish to rise above the masses, you must not merely endure adversity, you must embrace it as a necessary ally in your ascent. The difference between the ordinary man and the master lies in their reaction to hardship. The ordinary man meets difficulty with complaint, fear, or resignation. The master meets it with calm curiosity, as if to say, "What lesson is hidden here? What strength will I gain from this?" Calmness in adversity is not denial of difficulty. It is the refusal to surrender your inner stability to outer events. Picture the mountain in a storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes its slopes, yet the mountain stands unmoved. So too must you stand when the storm of adversity breaks upon you. Your calmness is your fortress. The wealth-minded man does not waste energy lamenting the storm. He adjusts his sails, strengthens his position, and uses the wind that batters others to propel himself forward. He understands that every problem carries within it the seed of an equal or greater advantage, and his calm mind is fertile soil for that seed to grow. But calmness in adversity cannot be summoned on the spot if it has not been cultivated in times of peace. This is why I urge you, train in calmness daily, not merely when the storm comes. Practice detachment in the small annoyances of life, the delay, the insult, the unexpected change. Every moment of irritation is a chance to fortify your inner command. Now we arrive at the immutable laws of a wealth mindset, principles that are not subject to opinion, mood, or circumstance, but are as constant as the law of gravity. You may ignore them, but you cannot escape their effect. Law 1. Thought is the origin of all wealth. Nothing exists in your outer world that did not first exist in your inner world as thought. If you wish to change your reality, change your thinking. Law 2. Emotion is the servant, not the master. Use it to fuel your action, but never to direct it. Let reason chart the course. Let emotion power the journey. Law 3. Purpose precedes power. A man without a definite purpose may have bursts of energy, but he will scatter them in every direction and accomplish little. A man with a definite purpose concentrates his power and moves mountains. Law 4. Discipline is the multiplier of effort. A single day of focused, disciplined work is worth more than a month of scattered activity. Discipline turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Law 5. Detachment equals freedom. He who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. He who cannot be seduced by distraction cannot be led astray. Detachment is the shield of the master. Law 6. Decision is destiny. Every great success and every great failure can be traced back to a decision or the failure to make one. Law 7. Persistence conquers all. Not genius, not talent, not luck. Persistence, the unyielding pursuit of your purpose until the world itself bends to your will. These laws are immutable because they are woven into the fabric of human nature. They have governed the rise and fall of individuals, empires, and civilizations. Those who align themselves with these laws ascend. Those who defy them are broken upon them. If you would possess the wealth mindset, you must not merely know these laws, you must live them until they become as natural to you as breathing. The inner war for control is the only true war every man and woman will fight from birth until death. This war is not waged against armies, governments, or markets. It is not fought in the streets or across battlefields. It is fought in the silent, invisible arena of the mind, and it is fought every single day. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You are either winning or losing this war at every moment. There is no truce, no neutral ground. If you are not actively commanding your thoughts, then something else is old habits, fear, the influence of others, or the subconscious residue of past failures. Victory in this war begins with awareness. You must become conscious of the fact that your mind is a battleground, not a playground. The wealth-minded individual does not allow random thoughts to drift aimlessly like leaves on a stream. He stands watch, armed with purpose, and challenges every thought that enters. Does this serve my aim? Does this strengthen my position? Does this bring me closer to my definite purpose? If the answer is no, it is expelled immediately. You must understand the greatest threat to your success is not a competitor, not an economic downturn, not bad luck. The greatest threat is the enemy within, the voice that says, not today, the voice that whispers, you've done enough, the voice that bargains with your purpose for the cheap comfort of inaction. That voice must be identified, confronted, and silenced. Self-mastery means the inner tyrant is overthrown, and the inner ruler, disciplined, deliberate, and devoted to purpose, takes the throne. The war for control is not won by one decisive battle, but by daily victories. The smallest victory, rising when you said you would rise, completing the work you said you would complete, is a brick laid in the fortress of your will. This brings us to the strategy of emotional economy, the deliberate conservation and allocation of your emotional energy. Understand this: your emotions are fuel. They can power your ambition to great heights, but they are a finite resource each day. If you waste them on petty irritations, gossip, or imaginary fears, you will have nothing left when the real battles come. The wealth-minded individual spends his emotional energy as a wise investor spends capital, with calculation, with restraint, and only where the return will justify the investment. He will not squander his calmness arguing with fools, nor will he exhaust his enthusiasm chasing trivial goals. He knows that passion, if constantly leaked into unimportant matters, will leave him empty when his purpose demands full power. Emotional economy also means refusing to let the highs be too high and the lows be too low. Many a fortune has been lost in the euphoria of success, just as many have been abandoned in the despair of a temporary setback. Both are dangerous extremes. The master holds to the middle path, steady in victory, steady in defeat, because he knows neither is permanent. Let others burn themselves out in the endless cycle of emotional boom and bust. You will move steadily forward, conserving your inner resources for decisive strikes, never depleting yourself on the noise of the moment. And now we come to the last and most solemn part of this journey, the final oath of the wealth-minded master. This is not an oath you speak to the world, for the world cannot hold you to it. It is an oath you speak in the silence of your own mind, and it binds you by honor to yourself. It is the oath to live as a sovereign, never again a subject to impulse, never again a slave to fear, never again a beggar for the approval of others. It is the oath to keep your purpose above your comfort, your discipline above your mood, your reason above your passion. It is the oath to choose thought before action, action before regret, and persistence before surrender. It is the oath to guard your mind as a fortress, to admit only those influences that strengthen your cause, to reject every poison of doubt and defeatism, no matter how sweetly disguised. It is the oath to remain calm when others panic, to advance when others hesitate, to think when others react. It is the oath to accept that wealth is not an accident, but the inevitable result of mastery over self, and that the only true poverty is the poverty of discipline. If you take this oath not lightly, not for a day but for life, then nothing in this world can keep you from the heights your mind can conceive. You will walk with the quiet power of one who knows he cannot be broken, for he holds in his hands the one thing that guarantees all else, command over himself. And when you reach the peaks others called impossible, when you stand in the calm above the storms, you will not need to shout your triumph. The world will see it in the steadiness of your gaze, the sureness of your step, the unshakable presence of one who has won the only war that matters. For the wealth mindset is not merely a way to make money. It is a way to live deliberate, disciplined, detached from the chains of emotion, and devoted wholly to purpose. It is the rarest form of power, the kind that cannot be taken, only surrendered, and you will never surrender it. History, if read with the eyes of a master, is not a record of events, but a record of minds in motion. It is the story of those who governed themselves and thus came to govern nations, and of those who could not govern themselves and thus were governed by others. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome. At the height of his power, he faced betrayal from within, invasions from without, and the ever-present temptation of luxury. Yet his writings, preserved in the Meditations, reveal a mind unshaken by fortune or misfortune. You have power over your mind, not outside events, he wrote. Realize this and you will find strength. This is emotional detachment, not the absence of feeling, but the refusal to let feeling dictate judgment. Consider Andrew Carnegie, who began as a poor immigrant boy working 12 hours a day in a factory. He disciplined his mind to see beyond present hardship, attaching it to a definite purpose, to become the master of industry. When the panic of 1873 wrecked the finances of lesser men, Carnegie's calmness, discipline, and decisiveness allowed him to expand while others contracted. That is mental immunity in practice. Consider Thomas Edison, who made over 10,000 failed attempts to create a working light bulb. To the undisciplined mind, each failure would have been a verdict. To Edison's mind, trained, disciplined, unshaken, each was merely a data point in the inevitable march towards success. I have not failed, he said. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is, persistence married to the master's code of decision. These examples are not meant to inspire you to admiration alone. They are meant to shame you into action. For what excuse can you give, in the light of such examples, for surrendering to irritation, for abandoning a goal because of temporary discomfort, for allowing another person's mood to dictate your state? Now, I will not merely tell you to discipline your mind. I will train you in it, here and now, as if you were seated before me in a dimly lit hall, pencil in hand, your chair, one among 100, occupied by men and women who will walk out either transformed or forgotten by history. Mental Drill 1, the pause before the storm. For the next 7 days, choose one situation each day where you feel the rise of an emotional reaction, irritation at a delay, anger at an insult, fear at a piece of news. In that moment, pause. Count to 5 in silence. Ask yourself, what is my purpose? What response serves it best? Act only after you have answered. This drill enlarges the space between stimulus and response until it becomes your domain of power. Mental Drill 2, the fortress of influence. Write down every source of influence in your life: people, books, news, entertainment, environments. Place a mark beside those that strengthen your purpose and another beside those that weaken it. Beginning today, reduce your exposure to the weakening influences by half, and replace that time with the strengthening ones. This is how you construct mental immunity. Mental Drill 3, the oath of completion. Select one small but meaningful task you have been delaying. Publicly or privately, declare you will complete it by a specific deadline. Then do it, no matter how inconvenient it becomes. The act of keeping your word to yourself in the small things forges the discipline to keep it in the great things. Do not mistake these drills for mere exercises. They are the sharpening of your sword. A sword is not forged in a single blow, but in 1,000 strikes of the hammer, heated and cooled until it can cut through any resistance. And now I will give you a truth so sharp that if you accept it, it will sever every chain of excuse you have carried until this moment. Your mind, as it is today, is the exact product of the training you have given it or failed to give it. Every weakness you suffer, you have permitted. Every strength you possess, you have cultivated. The condition of your mind is no accident. It is the harvest of your own planting. If that harvest is bitter, plant differently. If it is small, plant more. If it is chaotic, plant in order. You are the sower and the soil, the gardener and the gatekeeper. From this moment forward, let no thought enter your mind that does not serve your purpose. Let no emotion dictate an action without passing through the court of reason. Let no external circumstance have the power to shake the calm within you. And if the world calls you cold for this detachment, so be it. Better to be called cold and command your destiny than to be called warm and live as a slave to every passing wind of feeling. There is a moment, and perhaps this is yours, when the mind, after being tested, trained, and stripped of all excuses, stands alone before itself. No applause, no witness, no outward reward. Only the silent recognition that I am now my own master. This moment is not marked by a surge of emotion, but by a stillness so profound it feels like the world itself has stopped. That stillness is power. It is the calm of the commander before the decisive order, the serenity of the archer whose arrow will not miss. It is the reward for every pause you have taken instead of reacting, every discipline you have maintained when the easier road was to quit, every decision you have made and kept without compromise. Understand this. You will not keep this oath because you are motivated. Motivation is a spark and sparks fade. You will keep this oath because you have chosen to become the kind of person who keeps such oaths. That is the wealth mindset, not to chase inspiration, but to live by unchanging principle. And here is the paradox that only the master will understand. When you no longer need the world to affirm you, the world will follow you. When you no longer fear losing, you will win more. When you are unmoved by praise or criticism, your influence will grow beyond what the praise seekers and critics can comprehend. The wealth mindset does not make you louder, it makes you undeniable. It does not make you reckless, it makes you inevitable. So, walk into the world now as if you own it, not with arrogance, but with the quiet certainty of one who knows he governs himself, and therefore no man, no market, no misfortune can truly govern him. Let them call you detached, for you are not swayed by the storms that drown the unprepared. Let them call you disciplined, for you do in a day what others postpone for years. Let them call you cold, for you burn not with the fever of emotion, but with the steady fire of purpose. And when the day comes, for it will, that you stand where once you only dreamed, you will know this truth. You did not arrive by accident, nor by favor, nor by luck. You arrived because you mastered the only territory that matters, the space between your ears. This is your kingdom. Guard it, rule it, expand it. For the wealth mindset is not a method, it is a throne. And you, if you choose, are its rightful ruler. Now go and live so that no man can ever say you surrendered the crown.